hey, if you're going to Cine Europe this year, come by, check us out. We'll be in the VIP section. Gruvi's taking a sponsorship position. Look forward to seeing you all there. It's going to be a very exciting event. Heard a lot about CinemaCon. Fortunately, we couldn't make that, but we're at Cine Europe. So if you want to see us, swing by the VIP section in the main foyer. Neil, myself, Lee, and Owen will be there. And on Wednesday, the 21st of June, in the main exhibition hall at 1:30 p.m., we'll be delivering a very interesting report about a lot about what we're talking about today in these shorter segments, called How to Leverage Audience Data Insights to Prospect for New Customers and Increase the Frequency of Your Current Cinema Goers. Come join us, come listen, and always fire questions directly to us here, or you can meet us at the event.
Welcome back to That's Entertainment, the weekly entertainment show where we look at all the interesting news from last week this week. You may have noticed there's been a slight deviation from the way that we've been running the shows. There's been a great deal more focus and attention on interviews. The other thing that we're beginning to work on now is these more in-depth analysis reports that we're doing from the information that we find is interesting within the industry. We're hoping that these talks that I give offer perspective and ideas outside of the normal status quo. Welcome to this special edition of Gruvi's That's Entertainment show, where we're taking another look at the findings of the recent State of the Cinema report. As you've been following me on LinkedIn, you may have seen that I posted about this several times over the last few months. That document was put together by the US industry nonprofit, the Cinema Foundation, which is in turn backed by the National Association of Theatre Owners, or NATO for short. Not the military NATO, but the cinema NATO, just for any lay people out there. Whilst the report was full of positive data and featured some great analysis of the industry, we believe that in some areas there is more that can be learned, particularly if we look at the relationship between cinemas and their audiences outside of North America. We also think that there are certain key questions about the future of cinema goers' behaviour that need to be addressed. I've been a big proponent of the Stradella Road report, the 2010 report called Moviegoers. It was a survey of the behaviours that moviegoers expressed in the run-up to choosing cinemas or choosing films that they were going to watch. One of the main findings was that the way that we visit cinemas is very much stage of life dependent, and with each stage of life, whether you're parents or grandparents or kids, your behaviours in the way that you select films, select cinemas alters, and therefore for a canny marketer, it's very important to be aware of those differences in the ticket booking process, in the friend booking process as well, because one of the key findings was that when you rock up to the cinema, you're as influenced by the people that you're with in what you choose to watch as what is also going on in your head. So, theatrical marketing is very important from the perspective of making sure that you have a playlist of films that you want to go and see. That playlist is usually formulated over several weeks in the run-up to a cinema visit. But a key finding from the report was, back in 2010, most theatres were visited by people who'd made a decision within 24 hours to 48 hours max. Today, we're looking at one of the key areas where the US is playing catch-up with many other territories in acknowledging the ever-growing importance of a cinema's online presence and the increase in the volume of online ticket sales that it generates. According to a recent report from Research and Markets, the global online movie ticketing service market is set to grow by a further $7.5 billion between 2023 and 2027. Even pre-COVID, American audiences were turning more to the convenience of buying their tickets online. Webedia highlighted a number of key trends in their 2018 report, From Discovery to Purchase, the movie-going experience begins online. From that report, the main bullet points that stood out to me were that in 2018, online sales in the US surged by 18.7%. Moviegoers turned essentially to their local theatre's website or apps for that purchase, but the use of third-party ticketing websites gained momentum as well, especially amongst millennials. Online consultation of showtimes was also on the rise, becoming an essential part of the moviegoer's journey to the theatre, even though they may have bought their tickets offline. Webedia went further in that report, looking at the reasons why online consumers were making particular choices about the films they saw, and crucially, where they saw them. The top reason for all moviegoers to pick their theatres were the showtimes, in and around the time that was convenient for them, the proximity of the theatre, and their familiarity with the cinemas in their area. However, for audiences buying their tickets online, these factors are also competing with other site-specific options, as more moviegoers purchasing their ticket online are choosing the theatres for their comfort, services, and premium seating. Even in 2018, the encouraging news for US cinema owners was the fact that those customers that bought their tickets online were of greater commercial value compared to the traditional walk-up audiences. Around 36% of moviegoers who picked their theatre because of their comfort bought their ticket online, as opposed to 25% or nearly 26% who bought it offline. 28% of moviegoers who picked their theatre because of reserved seating purchased an online ticket, versus nearly 8% that did so at the theatre. Nearly 13% of respondents who picked their theatre for the services offered purchased online, versus the 8% that bought it at the theatre. The Cinema Foundation's State of the Cinema report showed that the trends to purchase tickets online has only increased amongst US cinema goers post-COVID. There was a 20% increase in direct ticket sales on the movie theatre sites and apps across all age groups after July 2020. The report also showed that exhibitors seem to be aware of exactly what appeals to those more discerning and more valuable online consumers, with many stating that over the next 3 years they'll be offering alcohol, upgrading their systems and projectors, adding reclining seats, and building more premium large format screens. The importance of offering customers access to these premium screen formats was highlighted in further research from the Cinema Foundation. Their report, The Value of the Movie Ticket, What Drives Consumers to Big Screen Entertainment, stated that the premium large screen formats are an important option for those seeking a higher end movie-going experience, and they are frequently the first screens to sell out. There is a rabid fan base, with 13% saying they choose that format every time, and another 72% who select that format based on the movie. The higher ticket prices such screens can bring with them is no deterrence to audiences, both US and international. According to The Hollywood Reporter, last summer's opening weekend of Top Gun Maverick saw that the IMAX and premium format screens turned in a whopping 37% of the US opening weekend. Maverick employed IMAX cameras, and the film grossed $10.4 million in the format overseas through its opening Sunday. That represented 8.4% of the international box office from only 350 screens. The appeal of the premium cinema-going experience is not confined to multiplexes, offering premium format screens, as I recently told attendees at an event that I attended in Cologne last year for the Distributors Associations there, where I got up on stage and I stated, I think independent cinema has a benefit over large multiplexes. If I look at what's happening in the UK, the fastest growing chains are the ones that really focus on the user experience. So it's companies like Picture House and Everyman, which actually grew during the pandemic by 3 or 4 locations. And now Everyman comprises nearly 43 cinemas across the whole of UK. The focus for independents is that audiences are demanding a more bespoke, comfortable setting. And I would issue a further insight from the data that I've supplied. Your online customers are your most discerning customers. They're the ones that like to plan their trips, they like to buy the premium formats, they like to make sure that their experiences are well planned in advance, contrary to the data that was back in the 2010 Stradella Road report. I think we're facing a change in the proportion of people that are planning to go to the cinema now, that it's no longer something that's done the day before or 2 days before, that we may be actually seeing the cinema experience going along with the playlist. If you bought that ticket, you also know exactly what you're going to go and see, distributors. And therefore, the tie-up between studios, cinema audience data from cinemas, and the combination of the two within the movie marketing campaign are going to be extremely important in the years ahead. Discerning customers also spend more. So something to think about there. That's all for this section of the report. More to come very shortly. We hope you enjoyed the format. We hope you enjoyed the information that we shared with you as well.